So yeah,
I put a mic on you.
Oh,
this is Todd.
Hi, Todd.
Hi.
Okay, I'll be back, guys. Carry on.
Well, so yeah, do you wanna introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. I'm David. I have worked at Sundance for about 40 years, since the mid-'80s. And yeah, I could give you a quick tour of our store. Hello.
Hi,
Yeah, this
I'm
is
John Q.
This is
Oh, you're John Q. Good to meet you, John Q.
John.
And you're David.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm the backup. Todd's our main videographer.
I see. So explain to me, I thought you guys were a radio station.
We are, yeah.
Okay. But you do visual as well?
This was my idea. Actually, I was
you
thinking
put this
we
on the
could not
website?
just we could put it on, like, that's what the kids love, is seeing video of stuff, right?
Come on through.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You don't have to feel you're in the way. You're the reason we're all here.
I was thinking it could be a radio show as well as something we could post on our socials as a video, like just a nice short video.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why it's gonna be both, hopefully.
All right, well, now we're walking through the crown jewel of Sundance, which is our produce department. This is an all-organic produce department and occasionally wild-crafted. We get a lot of wild-crafted mushrooms, but other than that, it's all organic. And we just like to feature seasonal fruit. Obviously, we're about to go into apple season here. And this is our glorious display of peppers. And what else? Yes, these are our wild-crafted mushrooms. Not these, but all of these more esoteric-looking ones. It's chanterelle season now. And as you can see,
You want to tell us about the wine and beer selections you got?
certainly. Anyway, yeah, give a good look at it. So this is what we call our West End, or our deli. This is where the deli program lives, our kitchen program lives. We do have some packaged products here as well. And we have a small wine selection at Sundance. But part of Sundance has been, for about 30 or 40 years, has been a wine shop. And so right around the corner, we have a place called Sundance Wine Cellars, which is our actual wine store, 1,600 square feet of the world's finest wines, basically. And so we just put a small selection here for the natural foodies.
What are the hours for the wine shop?
Wine shop is open till 7 every day of the week. And yeah, I think they close on the major holidays, unlike the store, which pretty much never closes. We close when we have our general meeting. Well, we close on Christmas. Other than that, Sundance is open all the time. So this is our salad bar. We have prepared salads on one side and make your own salads on the other side. We've had this salad bar since the 1990s. It's pretty much a great community asset. We're featuring a breakfast bar now. We just started this. A little bit of biscuits and gravy and tofu scramble and some home fries. And so that's a new thing that we're doing. This is products from our kitchen. We have cakes, we have fresh juices, we have fresh dressings, we have hummuses, we have all sorts of
I think the plural of
lovely
hummus
stuff.
is hummi.
Or hummy. Hummy.
Wait, so you've got your own brand of food
Yeah,
products,
we've got the Sundance Kitchen brand. Yeah, these things are all made down the street, down the alley. We have a building that's dedicated to being a commercial organic kitchen, and it's part of what we've managed to build up here over the years.
Got
So
coffee too.
So you have a separate kitchen that is the producer of all the goods.
Yes,
It's not
yeah.
connected to this building.
It's yeah. Well, we Sundance actually owns about 4 or 5 buildings on this block. So we have this building, we have the wine shop building, we have the kitchen building, and then the building next to it, which is basically an employee break room and a storage area. And then down at the end of the block where the South Hills Cafe is, we own that building and have our business offices above that.
It's on Alder Street next to the bicycle store, right? The kitchen is?
Yes, the kitchen is right next to Paul's Bicycle Way of Life. Exactly.
Right on.
Yeah. So, and then I guess we can do a quick perusal of the bulk area. And
Yeah,
then,
that's what I was going to ask.
yeah. So there's our vitamin manager. Say hi, Janelle. Just wave at the camera. There, it's actually on radio, so don't worry. Anyway, I don't know why they're carrying cameras. This is our
You don't want
supplements.
this to go on YouTube.
This is our supplements department. You know, we sell quite a few supplements, and Janelle keeps it going, and then we can walk down. So it's a pretty typical dairy and chill cooler until you get down to the end of it here.
Got your Nancy's.
Got your Nancy's, of
Nancy's
course.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. This is where it starts to diverge from your average thing. We actually have a local kombucha company that has kombucha on tap, so people can actually,
You don't have to waste your containers.
exactly, don't have to buy and sell containers. You can just bring your own and fill it up with kombucha. And then we have a similar thing with a lot of our bulk liquids, bulk nut butters, bulk olive oil. And this is part of our Sundance Staples program. We have quite a few things that we keep at an extremely low markup so that they're affordable for everyone. And that includes things like olive oil and brown rice and nutritional yeast and quite a few things like that. And there's a whole lot of packaged goods that are under that rubric as well. So anyway, bulk foods. Here's bulk foods.
Too many things to even talk about.
Yeah, right. Bulk beans, bulk grains, bulk granolas, bulk trail mixes. And if you need bulk chocolate chips, we've got those. Anyway. Bulk multicolored popcorn.
Yeah.
Something for kids.
Yeah, something for everybody. It's beautiful.
Quinoa.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway. So that's our store.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the store that you want to highlight?
Well, I think we've gone over the main stuff. Like I say, you know, produce and supplements are really key parts of, you know, what keep people coming to Sundance, and yeah, we just
Quite an accomplishment.
yeah
Hats
try
off.
to keep it fresh, try to keep it wholesome, try to keep it whole.
How? Oh, so keep going.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. There's some other questions I've got here.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. Here,
My
let's
backpack.
let's not hang
Oh
that.
no, I'm
Let's
getting them
not.
all.
Let's
Got you.
yeah. That one we can hang back up.
Yeah.
The other one we'll have
Sorry
to
about that.
pop into the wash.
In fact, I found out recently that the 5-second rule isn't a real thing.
No, it's the 0 second rule.
Yeah, the 0
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. So
So-
when they fall, we put them in the wash.
And I was wondering, What can you say about how this store supports the community of Eugene?
Well, we do a lot of people ask us for donations, and we pretty much never say no. We have I think a standard $50. So if a community members have an event, if they have some sort of cause, if there's we're happy to contribute, and we also take the money that we collect. The city asks people to collect money for paper bags, and so we always take the money that we get from charging people for paper bags and donate that to an environmental cause. So we have a lot of little things that we try to do to make sure that we're giving back to the community in that way as well.
How about, can you say anything about the history of Sundance Natural Foods and your place in that? Because I mean, you've been here seemingly forever. Like, what can you say about the history and what this
Well,
store
it started way back in 1971. There was a physics professor who used to work for NASA who decided he wanted to get, he wanted to be into whole foods, and for him, because there was no place to do that, he decided to start his own store. So back in 1971, it was Bob Crowleen and his partner that started this little store, and it took about it took up really about a fourth of this building. This building had a laundromat in it, and then had a little natural food store, and then for a while had a little produce store that was its own separate store, and then down at the end is where the Down to Earth is another sort of semi-famous natural organization here in Eugene that sells all sorts of garden goods and housewares, and so they actually started back on the west end of our building. So and then Sundance just slowly matured, and then in 1983, Gavin McComas started being part of it. He and his family bought into the store, and then I came on in 1985, and I started out as a weekend janitor, and then got to be a cashier for a while, and then ran the cashier pool, and then my story went that I ended up writing a newsletter for the store. Back before there was the internet, we had pieces of paper that we would write information on, and then we would disseminate them to people by just handing them out at the cash registers. So for about 5 years, we had a newsletter. Good morning.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm in the middle of being interviewed for the radio, strangely enough. KPEW is doing an interview of me.
KEPW.
KEPW. Yes.
Hi.
So I'll check in with you in a few minutes. Okay. I think maybe you'll have to edit that out. Anyway.
Well, you were saying something about the newsletter and
Yeah, so for about 5 years, I wrote a newsletter that allowed me to do a lot of research on food politics, whole foods, the nature of foods, our food systems here in the United States, and, facts like that the average piece of food travels 1,500 miles before it gets into somebody's mouth. And so that gave us a good understanding of why we wanted to focus on local foods and local farmers and local vendors, and focus on whole foods and focus on organic. It's like the organic movement grew because people cared enough to actually, buy organic. And so it was this kind of, positive feedback loop of, the more people understood organic and were interested in organic, the bigger the market got. So, yeah.
Question about what percentage of the the big picture of finances flows out of state? For example, our corporate chains, a good percentage of that, let's say 5% of the gross, probably flows to Wall Street somewhere.
Well, for sure. the natural foods business, especially in the 80s and 90s, went through exponential growth. And so a lot of little companies that had been started by, idealistic hippies, got very successful, and then eventually got big enough that the founders said, okay, I don't want to work anymore, and they got bought. And so we have not a huge percentage, only because Sundance really tries to focus on small vendors and independents, but there's still a 20, 30, 40% of the foods that we carry in our package departments that are from large corporations, because these large corporations saw an opportunity and bought a lot of these small natural foods companies. So,
you can't control.
Yeah, there's
You're going to sell natural foods.
there's a little pamphlet that we got a few copies of in this year in July that says "Who Owns Organic," and it's from a wonderful organization called the Cornucopia Institute. And the Cornucopia Institute basically does this wonderful analysis of which are small independent natural foods vendors and which are natural foods vendors that are owned by much bigger corporations or holding companies. And so so that's part of our mission too, is to help inform people, and make wise choices with their dollars. We can't not sell, rice cakes, from Hanes Celestial or whatever, because there's still something that people want. But at the same time, if there's an alternative that's a smaller independent person or a startup, we're going to try to feature that.
If let's say you've got the Eugene city is listening to you right now, right? They're I hear what you have to say from the heart. Like, what does this business mean to you, and how powerful it has been as a local grocery store in this community for so long? Like, what does it mean to you to be here and to be Eugene?
It really comes from our mission statement. Back when I first started at Sundance, we were having not only financial struggles, but we were sort of having identity struggles and really questioning what the heck we were doing. And the staff came together and came up with the motto of individuals nourishing community, nourishing individuals. And that has really been sort of our guiding mission, is that we're individual people and we have our own individual needs, but we come together to nourish community. And thereby, because we're nourishing community, it nourishes us in return. So individuals nourishing community, nourishing individuals. That's basically been our way of making it through the world for at least the 40 years that I've been here.
Formally, are you a co-op, or is it group management, or what is it legal for?
Oh, that's a very good question. Sundance was owned up until not 19 anything. Sundance was owned until 2023 by a single person, Gavin McComas. So it was not a co-op in any way. It was a collaboratively run business, but it was owned by a single person. In 2023, in October, we decided to turn it into a perpetual purpose trust. So Gavin went and took his shares of Sundance and donated them to this perpetual purpose trust. And so it's owned by itself. It can't be sold. It's going to be a community asset in perpetuity. And so it's basically now has what we call the Trust Stewards Council, which is sort of like a board of directors. And they just make sure to guide the business in the directions that adhere to the store's values. And we've sort of dialed in the store's values of having to do with reciprocity, like the golden rule, Geborgenheit, which sort of means making the place a homey feeling place where people, feel like they're comfortable and can interact with each other, in a non-alienating way, basically. And then camaraderie, is one of our other values that we decided we really want to make sure that all the people that work here and all the people that come here feel comfortable with each other and feel like they're part of a team, part of a community. And then our last overarching value at Sundance is something we call eudaimonia, which is a big Greek word that just means working for the greater good. It's like when your actions, that engender happiness inside you come out of the fact that you know you're part of a bigger whole and that you're working for something bigger than you. So that's sort of where we're at right now, is that we're trying to make sure that Sundance, sticks with these values and has that as their guiding principles really into the far future, regardless of which individual humans are, helping the store get along.
Are you ever going to go broke? Are you under financial pressure from Whole Foods and other national chains?
Currently, Sundance is in a very good position. I can tell you a quick story. I might as well just tell it here. I'll just tell you the story. Back in 2008, Whole Foods was going to come into Eugene, and it was going to be very disruptive to the natural foods business in Eugene, because at that time there were at least 8 or 9 independent natural food stores in Eugene that basically, they had it covered. I would say that Eugene probably had the highest per capita number of natural food stores, of any town in the nation. And that also interestingly goes for things like organic truck farms. Lane County and the Eugene area had this massive amount of small organic growers that the community supported really, really well. That's why our farmers market is so huge these days. But in 2008, Whole Foods wanted to come in, and they wanted to come in a way that asking the community to basically fund and subsidize their coming into Eugene. They asked the city council to build a parking garage next to where they wanted to build a Whole Foods. And their request, demand, I don't know what you want to call it, was that the citizens of Eugene pay for this parking garage, that it wasn't beyond Whole Foods' dime. And the city council was going to do that because they thought this was a great business opportunity and it would invigorate downtown. There was a challenge with the downtown area at that time, and people thought that, yeah, we really need this sort of magnet to draw people downtown. But there were a lot of people in the community that thought this was a terrible idea to subsidize a large, national corporation that has a tendency to go into towns and destroy a lot of local businesses. And so Gavin, at that point, made it his focus to make sure that the city did not subsidize Whole Foods coming in, and went to the lengths of actually getting a ballot measure on the local ballot to forbid the city council from, paying for Whole Foods' garage. At which point Whole Foods sort of stepped back and say, "Oh, we're not interested in expanding into this territory at this time anyway." But really what it was is we gave them the boot. But so then fast forward to 2014, Whole Foods looks at the Eugene market again and says, no, we really do want to be here. And so without asking for any subsidies, they came in and built their downtown Whole Foods, which is on Broadway and something, wherever it is, right near campus. Interestingly enough, there had been another national natural foods chain called Natural Grocers that had moved in on the other side of the Ferry Street Bridge, and for some reason that had no effect on Sundance's sales. But when the Whole Foods opened in 2016, our sales immediately plummeted by about 7 to 10%, and they actually stayed down at that level of about 10% in inflation-adjusted dollars from before Whole Foods had moved in for about the next 9 years. And so Sundance went through a period just recently in this last decade where they were kind of struggling. We were just kind of getting along by the seat of our pants. We were just sort of barely making it. And then the YMCA built a new building across the street and opened up. And as soon as the YMCA opened up, our sales went up again by 10%. And so pretty much all the sales that we had lost over the intervening decade, we suddenly were making up because the people who went to the YMCA are health conscious people, and they would come over to Sundance, and we suddenly saw this big spike in business between 11 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock every day that we hadn't seen. And it's been a real boon because that Sundance, you know, seems to be on really good, solid financial ground right now. So, you know, mote it ever be so. Anyway.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else?
Well, I just wanted to close up, I'm donating my house to Square One Villages as a community land trust so that it
Cool.
will never go up in price in perpetuity. So you can take property out of the capitalist system,
Yes.
as you've done here with your trust, in perpetuity. And so I was really happy to hear about your story, and I'll probably like to talk to you later about the structure of the board, how many people are on the board, because that board is the whole thing. You know, they could vote to sell it to a private equity firm or something.
Absolutely, yeah. We've done our best to make the bylaws of the Perpetual Purpose Trust such that, you know, a lot of that stuff wouldn't happen. You know, the only way that might happen is if for some reason Sundance as a business is no longer viable, and then we actually have some clauses in the trust, you know, of how to dispose of the property, and I think at least half of it would go to the community anyway. You know, it would be donated to charitable causes or
Pretty
something
cool.
like
I
that.
know it's complex, too
Yeah,
complex for
yeah. I mean, you know, it's a nice 15-page document, right? The Perpetual Purpose Trust, and what we had though as a benefit to us in doing this was that the natural produce distributor, organically grown company, had just gone through a similar process, and they had several people on staff that really understood the process of turning yourself into a perpetual purpose trust. Back when they did it, there wasn't any law in Oregon for doing that, so they had to actually turn themselves into a perpetual purpose trust, like under Delaware law or something like that, you know. But by the time Sundance decided to do it, because of the work of Organically Grown Co-op and some wonderful law professors at U of O, our Oregon legislature had passed a perpetual purpose trust law in 2019. So by the time we got around to turning ourselves into a trust, there was actually a structure in Oregon for us to work with. But we definitely, you know, we sit on the shoulders of giants like Organically Grown Company, which, you know, just did amazing work. They basically had to build the road and then walk down it, you know, in order to make themselves a similar kind of organization, one that is for the community. You know, I think they're called purpose-driven is what they call themselves. And then we've had other companies in Eugene follow the same thing. Hummingbird Wholesale, a natural foods wholesaler here in Eugene, has also turned themselves into a perpetual purpose trust.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The thing on the other side of the tracks over there?
That's exactly, yeah. They have the Stellaria building over near
Yeah.
Skinner Butte.
I was just thinking about this. What are your thoughts personally about Jeff Bezos and Whole Foods?
Obscenity's not allowed on the radio.
I don't, yeah, I don't have any quibble with big capitalism per se. You know, it's obviously, if it's successful, it's successful. If you know, if the American public thinks it's useful and valuable to them, you know, that's their choice, right? I think there's probably a lot of danger in big capitalism. You know, there's obviously issues with you know, employees' rights at Amazon. There's been a lot of battles over that, you know, unionization battles, a lot of health challenges or whatever, work hazard challenges, you know, with that organization. Whole Foods being part of Amazon, just unfortunately, it makes, you know, it was already a huge, you know, national corporation before it got bought by Amazon. So it was already, you know, exhibiting being part of the problem, you know, in certain ways, even before it became part of Amazon. Then becoming part of Amazon was just say, okay, this is obviously, you know, part of, you know, big capitalism. And it's just, it's, you know, it's challenging. You know, I say this as someone who, you know, does actually order things from Amazon myself. So, you know, I have to, you know, basically say that, you know, I like everyone else, you know, weighs convenience versus, you know, some strict moral code. And, you know, sometimes I find I end up on the side of convenience. So I'm not a great moral authority, I have to say. So, but I still think there's a lot of value to be had from independent businesses, local businesses, keeping money local. And, you know, that's why we tend to focus on that at Sundance. You know, we try to encourage small vendors who are just starting out, and we'll give them, you know, the space that they may not deserve in terms of sales, just to give them exposure and to give them a chance to succeed. And our distributors and we, whenever we can, tend to try to focus on local growers, you know, local growers of bulk foods, local growers of produce especially. You know, we do a lot of direct purchasing from growers at Sundance, and have. In fact, the organically grown company, which I mentioned before, actually started out on the back deck of Sundance by 7 farmers coming together and saying, hey, we need a way to, you know, distribute our goods more practically. And so they started Organically Grown Co-op, which it was called at the time, and you know, developed it into a very, very, you know, large, robust natural foods produce organization. But it really did actually start as, you know, 7 farmers on the back dock at Sundance.
Oh, I got a good question. Does your stock computer keep track of which products are locally grown versus which ones are, you know, bought from national or out of state?
We certainly have the capacity to do that, and we haven't focused on that in terms of data. So, you know, that would be a good project to, and I could certainly talk with our grocery manager about that. We have the ability to add attributes like local and organic and gluten-free and, you know, all those wonderful
Get you some interns from the university, maybe?
Yeah, well, you know, or you know, just have somebody sit down and do the data entry. Yeah, you bet.
What are your last parting words to the Eugene community about Sundance Natural Foods?
Well, I just have to give a hearty thank you to, you know, the thousands of people who come and, you know, and say good things about Sundance and, you know, bring their dollars here and acknowledge, you know, the work that we're trying to do here to, you know, be individuals nourishing community and, you know, to basically provide whole foods for the people. So, you know, my parting words are thank you.